So today you have to complete an activity that is quite interesting. It's about classifying transactions in terms of the balance of payments. So let me explain you really quick. You need to answer to or classify to these transactions in this exercise. So you have, I think that eight different examples of transactions that you need to classify. And this is something very important. For this homework, you will have the perspective of the US. So that will help you to define if it's credit or debit because your perspective is the US, okay? So let me give you some tips that you can follow for this homework and in any and in any type of exercise or activity or even in the exam that is related to this to classifying transactions. You need to ask at least these three questions and this will help you a lot. So question number one is there a transaction of money between countries? And remember, it's about money. If there is no transaction of money, you reply no, and that means that you will answer nothing happens or it doesn't affect the balance of payments of the US. So if that's the case, if there is no transaction of money, you just reply like that. You can write something like this, NA, or you can say it doesn't affect the balance of payments or nothing happens. So it can be possible, it can be an option that the transaction that I am telling you just doesn't affect the balance of payments. Like maybe if someone from Monterrey buys tequila from Guadalajara, what happens to the balance of payments of Mexico? Nothing, right? Or another example, if we have the perspective of the US and in the example it says a Canadian person buys something from Mexico, what happens to the US? Nothing, right? It's only between Canada and Mexico, nothing with the US, so nothing. You answer NA. Question number two, is the money entering, entering or leaving the country? This one is also very important. If you answer no in here for question one, just finish, you are done. But if you answer yes, then continue. Is the money entering or leaving the country? Which country? It depends on the perspective. In this case, is the US. So if the money enters the US, it's credit, right? And debit if the money leaves the country. Okay? So that will be the second question that is very important. And finally, question number three is which account does it affect? And in here, you only have to tell me if it is the current account or if it is the financial and capital or if it is net errors and omissions. So you don't have to tell me the sub account. Don't tell me if it is goods or services, or don't tell me if it is foreign direct investment or portfolio investment. Just tell me current or financial or net errors. That will be enough for me. So this will be the, I'm going to erase this, but I think it's a good idea if you take note of this. And let me solve really quick this one, the first one. A German-based pension fund buys US government 30 years bonds on investment portfolio. So question number one, is there a transaction of money between countries? Yes, between Germany and the US. So I answered yes, I can continue. Question number two, is the money entering or leaving the US? So Germans are paying for these bonds, right? So they send money to the US, that means credit for the US. And finally, it's about bonds. It's about portfolio investment. So that means it is financial capital account. So do this with the next examples and that will be the activity for today. Remember, activities need to be submitted on this day. But let me also show you really quick the homework, because the homework, it's the same thing, but a little bit harder. First thing, here I don't give you a perspective. So for every single exercise, exercise, every sentence one, sentence two, and that, you need to select your perspective. So for example, in the first one, I will choose the perspective of Mexico. So I choose the perspective on Mexico, and with that perspective, then I can answer to the categorization of this transaction. So um, it says a restaurant in Mexico imports goods from Argentina. So question number one, is there a transaction of money between countries? Yes, between Mexico and Argentina. So the answer is yes, I can continue. Then the next one is it credit or debit for Mexico? Because I chose Mexico. So for Mexico, because Mexico buys the goods, but Mexico sends the money to Argentina. So it will be debit for Mexico. And which account does it affect? Well, it affects the current account because it's goods, right? Goods, a good, it even says good in here. So that's what you have to do for homework. And for this homework, I will upload later on a video solving this homework, but after the next week, so you can check it. And then if there is something, because I'm sure that you will be confused. That's the objective of this homework. You will be confused about something. So if you want, you can send me an email. You can come to the Zoom class. You can write me on WhatsApp, wherever, if you want help. But if you want to try something, don't worry. I'm only for this class. I'm not going to mark it if you are wrong or right. I'm just going to mark it as 100 if you deliver, because I know that you will have some mistakes. So don't worry. Do your best, try, and then watch the video and see if you are right or wrong. But don't worry about this. If you have a mistake, don't worry. Just try your best, and I will then upload the answers. So I think that after these two activities, you will be more familiarized with this thing about the balance of payments. So now this is actually the end of the class.